back to my channel. So in the last video we actually deployed two lambda functions, and you can see in the listing as well. So today we will actually learn the functionality that this API gateway provides. Okay, so first of all मैं बता देता हूँ कि जो AWS lambda फंक्शन होता है इसको रन करने के लिए हमें एक ट्रिगर की नीड होती है, और ये ट्रिगर आपको एक सोर्स से मिलता है, और वो सोर्स मैं आपको लिस्टिंग में दिखा देता हूँ. ये API गेटवे इज़ वन ऑफ द सोर्सेज. दिस यू कैन सी DynamoDB, S3 bucket, SQS. So let me talk about S3. So how it can be a source of trigger. So let's say आपकी कोई इमेज S3 में अपलोड हुई, and that after the completion of loading you want your lambda function to be executed. And what would that lambda function do? That actually compress the document size whatever you have uploaded. So this can be one of the tasks that we can actually do using lambda function, and the S3 events will be the you know and the S3 will actually trigger the event. And in the same way in DynamoDB you can perform some CRUD operations. उस किसी भी कोई भी अगर ऐसा इवेंट आ रहा है जो कि CRUD से रिलेटेड है, तो उसकी बेस पे आप अपना लैम्डा फंक्शन ट्रिगर कर सकते हैं. सो इन द सेम वे we have we have API gateway as a trigger. Okay, so let's click on that. So what exactly is this? So it is just an API. An API, the moment you will hit it, it will actually trigger your lambda function. So let me consume this API, and you can see it is the type. It has a type REST. Authorization is none. Method is get, and resource path is already being given here. So let me just hit this API. Let me check what happens. So it will be hit using our browser. So as expected, the result is in front of you. Okay. Now let me try this wing. Okay, first question is, we just deployed our lambda function, so how this API gateway got created? The moment you are defining the events while creating your lambda functions, and if that event belongs to any HTTP method or path you are giving, so basically it will automatically create an API gateway here for that. And the moment it gets uploaded, you get the links as well in the form of API. So, and for example, this function test, so you can see test function is being defined, but there is no event is being associated with that. And if we check our test function, you will see no API. Why? Because we have defined no event. No event means no triggering point. So that's how it works actually. Now let me just talk about the main thing. Yes, we have changed our code as well. API gateway. So this is a little bit different. Why? Because it has type post, it has method post, sorry. Okay, so it cannot be hit using a browser. You have to use Postman at any cost. So let us just use Postman and let's see what happens. Sandmail prod. Okay guys, so I'm just hitting in front of you once again, and you can see now mail has been sent. It means our API can easily be accessed. But the question is, what if you want some restrictions in your API? What if somebody who is using API should have API key, and the person has to send that key? So for this thing we have to configure our API gateway. And our API gateway, you can see now, we have to click on this link, AWS lambda. So the moment there is any sort of lambda function where API is created, sorry, or where HTTP events are associated, so you can see this API gateway gets created automatically. So here we can see that we have two methods. So the first one is get, that we have just hit. Now we will talk about the post method, and here you can click on, you can change the value to true. API key required, true. Yes. Okay, so now let us hit our API. Okay guys, first of all, two things we have to consider whenever you are changing any sort of setting in your APIs, you have to deploy the API again. So I'm going to deploy the API, and right now we are working on dev environment, so we will deploy that there only. And after you deploy the changes, you have to wait for few seconds or few minutes. Cool. Now the message is forbidden. It means we have to pass the API key. And to get the API key, we have to go to this place. You can see now API key test lambda. Sorry, the moment you create any lambda function using HTTP events, so all these things get created automatically. And you can see that you have set of some, you have API keys as well. So here too, and there is a usage plan, and we need to configure this usage plan to hit the API using that API key. So right now, in authorization, I will go with this API key. So you can see now, in order to get the data, we have to send this key and value of API key in the form of header, and key will be in this format only, as you can see now, and the value that we just saw. Let's see if it is working or not. It is not working. Why? Because we have to configure our usage plan. So you can easily see what exactly usage plan is. You just need to click here, and we can see there are no APIs associated to this usage plan. We need to add APIs now. So again, we will choose lambda function package, then the staging is dev, and then we will just save it, and then we have to configure our method. And if you click on that, you have to add a resource or a method. So we want the setting to be applied on this send email API. Method should be post, or you can fill any random number. I'm just putting it 10 and post 100. I will explain these terms to you later on, and I will close it. And after closing it, I just need to go back to my dashboard, and then I need to deploy the changes to the dev environment. Okay, and then we have to wait for some time. So guys, we can see now our API key has been configured, and now we can retrieve data only by sending the API key. Okay, now just let me stop sending this. What will happen? Forbidden. So in this way, we can use API key, you know, to get the data from lambda functions. So that's it from this video, guys, and we will talk about many things in the next video. Thank you so much.